The Muncie School Board met for the first time since the Ball State takeover fell through. Tonight on NewsLink Indiana, a full recap from tonight's meeting and what's next for the district.
And authorities in Maryland are investigating a deadly high school shooting. What investigators have learned after a student opened fire in the hallway minutes before school today.
And today marks the first day of spring. However, we're talking winter weather. Snow in the forecast. I'll have details tonight.
From Ball State Unified Media, this is NewsLink Indiana.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being with us. I'm Alex Kelmer.
And I'm Sarah Lehman. We begin tonight as Delaware County and most of central Indiana is under a winter weather advisory until tomorrow afternoon.
We have full coverage as snow moves into the area, making a rough start for spring. Chief Weather Forecaster Balint Salivari joins us now with a look at what we can expect through the overnight. Balint?
Hey, good evening. It's Sarah and Alex. And yeah, today was the first day of spring. However, we're talking winter weather. A winter weather advisory in effect from 8 o'clock this evening until 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. That includes a vast majority of our viewing area apart from Madison, Grant, and Blackford counties. We're going to see snow returning through the overnight hours, and that's in association with this low pressure system that's working its way through the Ohio River Valley right now and closer to here in Muncie. Within the past 3 hours, radar has picked up some rain and snow. However, temperatures aloft are still above the freezing point, so most of the precipitation that is occurring in the upper levels of the atmosphere is evaporating and not reaching the surface. Now, for the next 8 hours, we'll see us reach the freezing point by about 1 a.m. So around that time, we could start to see the precipitation, once it starts to fall, turn it to freezing precipitation, through the overnight hours. So we're going to see snow in the overnight hours, and we're going to be breaking the timing down of that in my full forecast, including some clearing conditions returning later in the week. However, overall, a 7-day forecast. It's pretty active. I'll have details coming up.
The Muncie School Board met publicly for the first time since the Ball State takeover plan fell through.
The district could still be getting financial help from the state, though. NewsLink Indiana's Tony Sandlaben is at the Muncie Area Career Center, where that board meeting just wrapped up. Tony?
Well, good evening, Sarah and Alex. I'm sitting here where Jason Donetti usually sits for school board meetings. He had been against 1315 from the beginning because of the takeover language that was in the bill. But once the bill failed, he said he was relieved, but also mentioned that there was still work to do because the district wasn't going to be getting the funding from that bill. Now, with this special assembly session that Governor Holcomb has announced, at tonight's meeting, Emergency Manager Steve Edwards mentioned that, yes, there will be work that needs to be done, but the special assembly is going to be looking at the money that the district could have been getting from 1315 in the form of what could possibly be a $12 million loan that Muncie can apply for. And Emergency Manager Steve Edwards said that is very much positive news for Muncie schools.
That will give us the additional appropriation to fund our budget, to give us funding authority for around between 40 and 41 million. The other thing it would do is give us funds to start working on the projects we need to work on. So through the GEO bonds. So it's a very, very positive.
Edwards went on to say that if the measure does not pass, Muncie will have to figure out how to get that kind of money into the district because eventually taxpayers are going to have to pay the difference on the outstanding $10 million general obligation bond that could lead to lawsuits against the school district. Live in Muncie, Tony Sandlaben, NewsLink Indiana.
Thank you very much, Tony. In addition to his plans for Muncie Community Schools, Governor Eric Holcomb's special legislative session also has school safety in mind. NewsLink Indiana's Zoe Dwiggins shows us that the special session could affect students across the state.
Governor Eric Holcomb said he is planning to order a special session to address school safety. Lawmakers let the initial school safety bill die during the 2018 legislative session because they ran out of time. If passed, the bill would allow for an extra $6 million in funding for school security needs. This bill was introduced after the school shooting in Parkland, Florida that killed 17 people. Many people think this special session is necessary in order to keep students safe, including Ball State student Jeb Reese.
Well, I think that definitely there needs to be measures in place to make sure that schools are safe, whether that's, gun laws or just ensuring the safety of our students through more police being there, more armed officials. But then I also think that the secretarial session is good so they can get to other things like the Muncie Public School Bill and, things like that.
One of the biggest arguments against the special session is the amount of money it will cost to pay the lawmakers to return in the spring. However, some Indiana lawmakers are planning to give up their pay during the session with the reasoning that the taxpayers should not have to fund their inability to complete their work in the last session.
I definitely think it's worth it. I kind of feel it's maybe the lawmaker's responsibility to kind of do this like pro bono, like not actually like take money for it since they didn't, get to it in the first place, and really come in and, just do it for free and get it taken care of.
If the special session is called, it would be the first of its kind since a budget shutdown in 2009. In Muncie, Zoe DeWiggins, NewsLink, Indiana.
Lawmakers will reconvene in May if the special session is called.
New on NewsLink, authorities in Maryland tonight say the high school student who shot 2 other students this morning was in a relationship with one of the victims. The gunman has been identified as 17-year-old Austin Rollins. A school resource officer at Great Mills High School shot Rollins after he opened fire in a hallway just before class started. Investigators are collecting evidence and are looking through devices owned by Rollins. The 16-year-old female victim has life-threatening injuries, while a 14-year-old is in stable condition. The St. Mary's County Sheriff says the school resource officer was not injured, but the department is in shock.
It was a mass response. This is what we train for, this is what we prepare for, and this is what we pray that we never have to do. And on this day, we realize our worst nightmare, that our greatest asset, our children, were attacked in one of our places of a bastion of safety and security, one of our schools.
Great Mills High School has more than 1,600 students and is just south of Washington, D.C. Nearly 50 students at Burris and Delta schools have been given after-school detentions for protesting gun violence. Last week, students took part in the National School Walkout Day as a memorial for the victims of the Parkland, Florida shooting and to push for stricter gun laws. Tonight, we take a look at the pushback from students and the administration. After-school detention is something no one wants to get, except Delta High School student Cameron Clevenger.
I think that getting disciplined for something like this is worth it if it's a cause that brings about change in a positive way.
Clevenger organized the walkout at Delta High School.
I believe that school should be a safe place for students.
And Burris School's principal Don Miller says leading up to the walkout and their decision came with a lot of conversation.
After consulting with area schools, including Muncie and the surrounding county, the preponderance of the schools decided that they would remain neutral on the issue.
Students at Burris could participate in the walkout if they took the right steps beforehand.
Students who left class with parent permission did not receive a disciplinary consequence.
The biggest thing for schools in the area was student safety. But Clevenger says that's the problem.
I find it ironic that we are protesting for the safety of students and they would rather us not speak and not protest.
Now there is another national walkout planned for April 20th, which is the 19th anniversary of Columbine. And Clevenger did say students at Delta will participate in a second walkout on the anniversary of Columbine.
State education officials are introducing Indiana's Learning Evaluation Readiness Network, or iLearn, a new test for elementary and middle school students in the spring of 2019. But high school sophomores will likely still be taking I-STEP exams for an additional 2 years. State Schools Superintendent Jennifer McCormick says keeping the 10th grade I-STEP exam is more practical than creating a new test. A new college exam for high school juniors has been approved by the General Assembly and will be delayed until the spring of 2022. Monday marked the start of Ball State's 30th annual Women's Week anniversary. Find out what students will be doing to help celebrate and spreading the word across campus.
And a local Muncie team plans to roll over the competition. Coming up, we'll show you how they plan to get on track.
Oh! Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
So I've come up with a family emergency plan.
Great. What is it?
It's difficult to talk about, so I'm not telling you.
How will we know what to do?
You won't.
I'm so glad I won't have to remember anything.
And me too. Thanks for this, sweetie.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
This is NewsLink Indiana breaking news.
We're following breaking news tonight from Austin, Texas, where authorities say emergency personnel are responding to another explosion, this time at a Goodwill store. A tweet Tuesday evening from the Austin-Travis County EMS says at least one person is injured. This marks the 6th explosion in the Austin area since March 2nd. We will continue to follow this story and bring you the latest tomorrow on NewsLink Indiana at noon.
Closer to home, Ball State kicked off its 30th annual Women's Week on Monday.
Today, the Women and Gender Studies program hosted an information table at the Student Center about events this week. They also handed out Women's Week posters, buttons, and pens. Ashley Bingham is a graduate assistant for Women and Gender Studies and has been a part of organizing the event for the past 4 years.
It's a lot of fun, it's a lot of education, it's a lot of awareness. Honestly, it's my favorite week of the year.
Tomorrow, students can check out Women's Wellness on Wheels outside of Bracken Library and University Theater. It's a mobile health unit from the Indiana University School of Medicine and is open to both men and women and free for students. Health educators and nurse practitioners are there to talk about health concerns, provide screenings for body mass index and blood pressure, as well as individual consultations.
Muncie's local roller derby team traveled to Illinois for their second game of the season last week. And now they're back and getting ready for their upcoming home game.
NewsLink Indiana's Jake Thomas caught up with the team after their practice.
From the start of the whistle, it's game time for these women at the Gibson Skating Arena.
The Corn-Fed Derby Dames roster consists of people that are related to Ball State, such as students, faculty, staff, and even alumni, like Jesse Fisher, who graduated in 2011.
I mean, once you put in all this work for this team, you don't really want to give it up. So Muncie became my home, and now...
Eliza Sandlin is going on her 3rd season with the team. When she first joined, it was a rough start.
So I came to practice on these, awful skates. They were white and pink. They looked like Barbie skates. And I walked around the edge of the track because I couldn't skate. I had never skated before.
Sandlin says that many people believe that roller derby is a reckless sport.
I definitely think that there's a misconception that we're throwing elbows and punching people in the face and just being dangerous on the track, and we're really not.
The All-Stars will have their next home game on Sunday, March 25th against Burning River Roller Derby at the Gibson Skating Arena. In Muncie, Jake Thomas, NewsLink Indiana.
The Corn-Fed Derby Dames will look to go 3-0 this weekend. Tickets can be purchased for $12 at the door beginning at 1 o'clock.
We're going to see snow roll into east central Indiana through the overnight hours. I'll have timing on that in my full forecast right after this.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
They're coming. Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Of all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community, which means your stuff can be more powerful than you think. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. Well, it's the first day of spring, and I have been sorely disappointed.
Absolutely. If I remember correctly, a few weeks back, Puxatawny Phil saw his shadow, and I think so far he's been right. Would you have to agree?
I'd have to say that winter's getting the last laugh today. Sure, today was the first day of spring, but winter weather, that's the story so far today. We're tracking a low pressure system that's going to be working its way through much of the Ohio River Valley within the next 24 hours. You can see on radar, pretty active radar, some snow and rain all throughout the river valley. Closer here to home in Muncie, though, live look at radar. Within the past 3 hours, radar has picked up some rain and snow. However, none of that is reaching the ground. It is picking up that moisture that's in the upper levels of the atmosphere, but due to some warmer temperatures aloft, that's allowing for that precipitation to stay up there. Now, we are under a winter weather advisory in effect until 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. That includes the most counties within our viewing area, apart from Madison, Grant, and Blackford counties. Again, that's in effect until 2 o'clock tomorrow due to that snow. So currently 39 degrees, but it feels like 30 degrees with that northeast wind, pretty strong at 18 miles per hour. For the next upcoming 8 hours, the temperatures are going to steadily decrease right to the freezing point between 1 and 2 a.m. That's significant because that's going to allow for those temperatures aloft to continue to cool. So we'll see the snow work its way in later on through the overnight hours. Here by midnight, you can see nice dividing line here in the pink indicating where that cutoff between rain and snow is. And then as the overnight hours progress, we're going to see the snow continue. So we can see anywhere up to 1 to 3 inches in certain isolated areas in terms of total snowfall. However, overnight low of 27 degrees with some pretty strong winds sustaining between 15 to 20 miles per hour. Through the overnight hours, that snow is going to linger and it's going to continue to amplify as indicated by these darker portions of blue indicated on the precision cast. However, stronger portions of the snow will remain south of the I-70 corridor. And then again, 1 inch to 3 inches expected here throughout the viewing area. Now for the morning commute, we're giving this a red light. That's due to the snow sticking around through the morning commute all the way through 9 a.m. Temperatures right around the 30-degree mark. And that red light's also due to us not being common in terms of seeing this type of weather in spring. By tomorrow, right around noontime, we'll finally see that snow start to push out. And then as the evening hours progress, we may even see a peak or two of sunshine and maybe even the sunset later on tomorrow. Tomorrow, temperatures will stay relatively mild, 43 for the forecast high. And again, that snow is going to be moving out through the midday. Now, in terms of total snowfall, I'm leaning more towards the lighter side for our viewing area. Roughly 1 to 2 inches is what most of us are going to see. However, a few areas could still see anywhere from 2 to 4 inches, but for the vast majority of our portion of the viewing area, we're going to see 1 inch to 2 inches of snow. Then for the 7-day forecast, pretty active. We're going to see precipitation on and on through the 7-day forecast. 43 degrees with clear conditions on Thursday. Our next chance for some snow flurries returns Friday night into Saturday morning. Some cool temperatures. The average for this time of year is 50 degrees. So by Monday and Tuesday, we'll work back up to the 50s. However, rain could play spoilers. So all in all, a pretty dismal start to spring, to say the least.
Not something I like to hear, but thanks, Ballant. All right, Andrew, what's coming up in sports?
Well, that weather report certainly affected Ball State athletics, so we'll let you know how after the break. Also, see which Cardinal athletes picked up Player of the Week honors up next.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know wherever you are.
Hey, welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. I'm Andrew Sanders.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
You wanted to be a teacher when you were little, but things changed. Teaching didn't seem that cool anymore, so you decided to become something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Amazing things are happening in teaching, so it's time to put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. I'm Andrew Sanders with sports. Ball State's women's soccer team has a new assistant coach, Katie Dolish, a four-time All-MAC player from Miami of Ohio and a former head coach at Muncie Central. Also on her resume, Dolish was an assistant coach for Ohio State University. Head coach Craig Roberts said her playing achievements, along with her coaching experience, will provide great leadership for our championship culture. In her junior year, Dolish led the Redhawks to a school record 20 wins, including the MAC regular season and tournament championships. Dolish says she wants to use that championship experience to help the Cardinals in the upcoming season.
But when I did play, I did experience a championship myself, and so using that experience to kind of help them, show them that like this is possible, you can do this, and this is what it takes.
Now there's still some time before soccer season gets started, but the team is ready to get out on the field. Not today though, as it's supposed to be the first day of spring, but Mother Nature had other plans. The wintry and windy conditions forced Ball State baseball to reschedule their game against Purdue yesterday, and today Ball State softball followed suit. Their game, scheduled for Wednesday against Butler, was postponed today because of even more cold weather. Indiana weather has not been kind to the teams as it has faced a majority of their practices indoors, limiting their situational training. Because of the delays, Ball State baseball and softball will start conference play with one less game under their belts. Baseball will travel to Kent State this weekend to take on the Golden Flashes in a 3-game series, and the softball team travels to Bowling Green Friday to square off against the Falcons. Some good news for the softball team though. Second baseman Maddie Labrador earned MAC West Player of the Week honors. This award comes after Labrador helped Ball State score 13 of its 51 runs over 5 games, one of the best offensive performances in program history. Labrador is the third Ball State Cardinal softball player to be named the MAC West Player of the Week. She had a phenomenal weekend at the plate where she hit .533, including 3 home runs. 2 of those homers came against St. Bonaventure, helping lift the Cardinals to a 15-0 win over the Bonnies. After that productive weekend, Labrador now sits in the top 5 in the MAC for RBIs and top 10 in home runs. Labrador isn't the only Cardinal this week to reel in such an honor. Matt Walsh is the Midwestern Intercollegiate Volleyball Association's Player of the Week for the second time this season. Coming off of 2 straight 3-set losses, Walsh was key in getting the Cardinals back into the win column. He averaged nearly 1.9 blocks per set and racked up 26 points over 2 games last week. The senior attacker has been a consistent force for the 13-9 Ball State Cardinals after being named All-MEVA first team last season. His 1.19 blocks per set this season are good for first in the conference and 6th nationally. While the Cardinals can't exceed their win total from last season, they're currently still in good shape, ranked 11th nationally. Now, 2 tough games sit ahead of the Cardinals this week, you guys. They'll travel to 6th-ranked Loyola on Thursday, then they meet 10th-ranked Lewis on Saturday. So we're looking forward to those matchups.
Absolutely, and certainly hoping that the weather can clear up so that we can see a little more Ball State sports action.
Fingers crossed on that.
Or we just all go to Florida. Thanks for
Also
that
a good
idea.
option. I like that.
All right, well, up next, the Stranger Things kids actors might need to invest in some bigger piggy banks.
And find out where you can get a free treat while supporting Riley Hospital when we come back on NewsLink Indiana.
Hey, did you know 2.4 million loving cats and dogs in shelters and rescues need our help to find a home? Let's go to theshelterpetproject.org and meet if you are in a shelter near you. Harlow, oh, she's one great listener and loves to hear all your stories. My kind of cat. Cerulo is a sweet, goofy boy who's eager to please. Sounds just like another dog I know. So go to theshelterpetproject.org, search your local shelters and rescues, and go for a cuddle with your next best friend. Adopt.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self. And I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. Katie McLaughlin joins us now to take a look at what's trending tonight. Katie?
Yes, guys. So, the Netflix original show Stranger Things is gearing up for season 3. And not only has there been major changes to the show, but also to the actors' payrolls. Deadline says that Finn Wolfhard, Millie Bobby Brown, Gaten Matarazzo, Noah Schnapp, and Caleb McLaughlin, quote, have reached or are finalizing agreements that they will see pay increases significantly. So, the salary bumps are reportedly jumping from $30,000 per episode in the first 2 seasons to up to $250,000 per episode in the upcoming 3rd season. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how I would handle that amount of money at such a young age. But it's going to be, you know, quite interesting.
They're definitely going to need bigger piggy banks.
And you know what? They are super talented, so yeah, might
very
as well.
deserving.
Yeah, very deserving. And then also, so you guys already know, although today is the first day of spring, I think it is safe to say that all of us here on Ball State's campus can disagree with Mother Nature and how she decided to bring in the new season. However, if you are willing to look past the cold to celebrate, you can head on over to Dairy Queen for their free cone day. Dairy Queen is giving away free soft serve vanilla ice cream cones all day. Although the cones are free, they are accepting donations that will be given to Children's Miracle Network hospitals such as Riley Hospital. And I think it's awesome. You know, we've had the waffle day and everything, so it's really nice to see, you know, businesses continuing with that.
It is. I think I can stand the cold for ice cream.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Donate to Riley.
No matter how cold it is,
Yeah.
I think anybody can go for free ice cream.
I would agree.
All right. Thank you very much, Katie. Ballant, how about a final look at weather?
Well, I think I'm going to go get an ice cream cone because, you know, the weather's pretty dismal to start off spring, to say the least. We're going to see snow through the overnight hours. Stick around through much of Wednesday. Anywhere from 1 inch to 3 inches possible. And then the winter weather advisory is in effect until 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Clearing conditions Thursday. Next system works its way in Friday into Saturday. Then 50s by next Tuesday.
All right.
Thanks, Ballant. Well, that's all for tonight for NewsLink Indiana. Be sure to watch tomorrow at noon on Facebook Live for the very latest. For Katie McLaughlin, I'm Sarah Lehman.
And for Ballant Salivari, I'm Alex Kelmer. Thanks for watching and have a good night.